inverted, narcissistic, and most importantly, completely pointless. Come waste an hour of your week with The Starting Block, Friday nights Australian time at dlive.tv/The Starting Block. Get in touch with us on Twitter at The Starting Block, no K at the end. Also, subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or iTunes by searching for The Starting Block, all one word, or on Podbean at startingblock.podbean.com. Join the blockheads, tuning in their millions, right around the world.
You're listening to The Starting Block on TAVshow.com.
The following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL Club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
Okie dokie, roll 'em!
Nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling like you need some kind of change.
Hey, welcome to The Starting Block for another week. Big show as always. We got Music Word of the Week. We got housekeeping. We got story time. We got stealing our fans. We got play time. All that and much more here on the block. Greeno here from The Starting Block. On behalf of the block, we just wanted to let you all know that we're all in this together. Well, except if you have coronavirus, then stay the fuck away. But in every other situation, we're in it together. To all of you on the front lines, those of you turning a footstool, a wok and a pitchfork into a home gym, those of you who have given your housemates a mental breakdown because you decided lockdown was a great time to learn the keyboard and the only thing you can play after 8 weeks is chopsticks over and over and over again. And those of you who are homeschooling and are now understanding the question you used to harass your maths teacher with of, when the fuck are we ever going to need to know this in the real world, is coming back to bite you on the ass. Just remember, like a 1990s Australian sitcom, we're all in this together. The days may be long, but in times like this, you can rest assured we will be here to waste an hour of your week, Friday nights Australian time, at dlive.tv/The Starting Block. So take care, social distance, whack on a mask, and subscribe to our show on iTunes. It may not cure coronavirus, but it sure will help us with our rankings. And isn't that really the most important thing right now?
Public Radio's loss is TAVshow.com's game. You're listening to The Starting Block.
Hey, welcome to The Starting Block for another week. You got myself Greeno, and I'm joined by my man who's probably only going to put about 50% of effort into this particular show because he's busy watching the cricket. My co-captain, Damo. How are we, sir?
Very good, Greeno. Good evening to you, boys, girls, listenership, blockheads, millions around the world, fuckwits, arseholes. How you going out there? Very good. Good to hear. Good to see you. Good to be back. Yep, cricket's back, Greeno. I didn't even realise there was a cricket match going on until the end of the first day's play when I heard it mentioned it like on some radio show or something. It's like, oh, by the way, cricket. I was like, cricket? Oh, fuck. Are we playing test cricket, are we? Oh, sweet. And then I figured it out. You know why no one gives a fuck? One, it's in Perth. And we all live on the East Coast and have kind of an East Coast supremacy. So we really don't care what happens on the other side of the desert, you know?
But generally we love the Perth test because it means we can watch it at night. That's
right. But it's never normally the first one. The first one is the Gabba.
Yeah.
Correct. And which is on the East Coast, of course. And the other reason is we're playing the West Indies. And it's not the 1980s anymore. I like seeing the West Indies tour here because it's nostalgic for me because I think of all the great West Indian players we saw. Carl Hooper, Brian Lara, Chanderpaul, Curtly Ambrose, Courtney Walsh, Phil Simmons. I mean, there was a lot of them, Greeno, a lot of stars back then. And, you know, Jimmy Adams, of course, Jimmy Adams. Richie Richardson, Greeno.
Oh, how did I forget Richie with his floppy hat?
With the floppy hat. So, you know, these are the players that you and I watched when we were growing up. And with the Windies, they were on the downhill run at that point, but they were still very competitive, and on their day they could really beat you, you know?
Yeah.
We watched Brian Lara score how many fucking tons against us, you know?
Just incessantly.
Yeah, so he loves scoring runs against the Australians. So they're always a chance to beat you. This West Indian team, not so much, Greeno.
Not so much. Surprisingly, came into this in this series in pretty good form. Their last 5 test matches, they'd either won or drawn. They hadn't lost any of their last 5.
Who have they played against?
I think they played England and they played maybe New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they played New Zealand as well. So,
not bad. Yeah, not bad.
Not bad. They're playing all right. And look, all things considered, this pitch is a bit of a road. Yeah. Not surprisingly, like Australia just puts up very uncompetitive pitches. Not Rawalpindi non-competitive. You seen score in that match?
No, I didn't. But before you go on to that, I don't know if they are non-competitive. I think Australian pitchers, and they've been trending this way for a long time. I don't particularly like it either. But when you do have Cummins, Hazelwood, and Stark in your team, you can afford to take a little bit of juice out of it because if their quickest bowler, if Joseph is their quickest at 142, but outside of him, no one's getting above 130 most of the time.
Yeah, it's pedestrian.
Yeah, so, and then it becomes a case of, well, we can take care of Joseph. You can take a little bit of juice out of the pitch, and then the rest of their bowlers become fucking, you know, slow left armers, slow right armers, Greeno. So, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's not the whacker we grew up with, is it?
Oh, no, this isn't the whacker anyway. This is now Optus Stadium.
Exactly.
The very terrible and corporate and embarrassing new stadium. Don't get me wrong, it looks lovely. They got a nice little bridge that goes over a river and it looks all pretty, but it's taken away all the fun and enjoyment of what used to be a whacker pitch, which was like fast, pacey,
brutal.
Like how quick can we bowl on this bastard? Like that was the pitch that we thought Brett Lee was going to get 165 kilometres an hour on.
That's right. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
But if you get in as a batsman, it's also one of the most rewarding places too because it comes onto the bat. Yep. Bounces true, comes onto the bat, and when they bowl quick, all you need to do is stick your bat behind it and probably go for 4 half the time. So. Yeah, but it's not. It's a different ground now, isn't it? It's like
it is. It's just generic MCG type ground that just happens to be in a warm environment. Yeah.
You have to discount all statistical trends at this point. Like when people say, "Oh, it's his best innings at Perth," and it's like, well, it's not the same Perth though.
Different Perth, yeah, exactly.
Different deck. So what's the difference?
Yeah, like Lyon was bowling in like the 12th over yesterday. Yeah. Like. That never would have happened in Perth ever.
No. Warney probably would have. Warney did take the ball pretty early, I think, in that game against England in that famous Ashes, Greeno.
Yeah, but that's different. That's Ashes.
Warney.
Warney. Yeah, different.
Yeah.
Going back to that England-Pakistan match, I don't know if you saw the score.
No.
England in day 1 put on over 500 runs with the bat.
Yeah, right.
In one day's bat. And I'm like, that's fucking unbelievable. It's so impressive.
Where was this played?
Rawalpindi.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, hang on. Like, let's have a look at the last time Australia played there. 4 wickets fell in the entire test, I think, in Rawalpindi.
Oh, right. Okay.
So the thing is literally it is a freeway.
Okay. It's a concrete indoor cricket pitch. It just
exactly, but
it has no life, and it's always true, and it just always goes right where it's supposed to go.
Spot on. You might as well play indoor cricket at this point over there in Rawalpindi. How that is still a test venue is beyond me. But then what actually did make it more impressive was the fact that, firstly, that was a world record, most test runs scored in a day.
Wow.
Secondly, they only did it in 75 overs because of all the time chasing boundaries.
Wow.
So in the 90 overs that England batted, they scored 600.
So Pakistan also got hit for a low over rate because they were constantly chasing the ball into the fence.
Fucking oath, yeah. The captain's going to have to miss the next test because of slow over rates. Safe to say, we're 14 minutes in. We've completely alienated our American listenership because we've been talking cricket.
Yep.
So let's get to our bare bones. Let's get to what we do best. Let's do
I'm still trying to figure that out, mate.
Yeah. We're getting there. Now, muted word of the week. This week, muted word of the week is a combination of two things, either Spotify Wrapped or Spotify Festival.
Nice, Gary!
Now, I kind of know what the Wrapped is, but purely because the Lady Boogs during the week mentioned something about there's this Spotify thing going around where it gives you like your year top 5 or something. Is that right?
Yeah, so it'll tell you, firstly, it'll give you your stats. It gives you a bit of, hit a stat man for us.
Yeah, I probably can.
I'm a scat man.
So Spotify puts together all your stats for you. So it tells you how many hours you've been listening for, what were your top 5 listened to songs, your top 5 listened to podcasts, and your top 5 listened to artists.
Right.
Puts it all together, and then people feel the need to share that on social media and comment about what they listen to.
Well, to be fair to the idiots out there, Greeno, this is really just the next evolution of taking pictures of you. Remember then when that was the thing around the 2010s, early 2010s, mid 2010s, the whole thing was not just taking pictures of your food, but like you go to a restaurant and take a picture of your meal.
Of someone else called. Yes. I just ordered this. Here's a picture.
I think it's a little different if you're making something because clearly you're kind of showing like what you're doing and how it looks and that kind of thing. So that's different.
I DM you boys and kind of go, like, hey, I just fucking whipped this up. It looks all right.
Yeah.
Like I'm impressed. Bit of a shout out to myself going, fucking just boys, fucking wrap me up.
But when you go to a place and you take a picture of the food they're serving you, that's you going, look how good I am. Look at what I'm getting. Fuck you. You know, like
a bit of that.
So,
it's also kind of like taking someone else's credit, going, have a look at what someone else did.
If you take a photo of your food in a restaurant, you should probably be required by social contract
picture
to
of the chef.
Call the chef over, Greeno.
Have
him pose next to the
chef,
plate.
Like, you can be in the picture, it's fine. You, the chef, and the plate of bolognese.
That's right. Someone else, the waiter can take it for you.
Hashtag, Chef Jimmy.
Chef Jim.
Everyone's a winner.
Chef Jim down at the Italian job down there in the CBD. He
smashing it out.
Whips up a great ravioli. Here's the ravioli, and if you look to the right, there's Jim waving in the background.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Nice, Gary. We just solved that.
You know nothing about cooking. I know nothing about social media. Between us, we mixed it.
Yeah.
So, midweek Spotify Wrap. Now, key takeaway and why I had to mute it very quickly is because everyone was posting this fucker. Number one was always Taylor Swift.
Oh,
no matter what.
Okay.
Every time, Taylor Swift. I'm a fucking Swiftie. Fuck off. I didn't need to hear about it.
But Taylor Swift only gained momentum like in the last month of the year, and I'm not sure. I just tend to think that when it happens like that, it's bullshit. Like it's a fabricated explosion. You know, it gets to the point where like if you report high numbers, that in of itself becomes a motivation to grow numbers, right? Because if someone hears something like 20 million people have already downloaded Taylor Swift's album, the average idiot out there, Greeno, the average drooler out there, that's right, would be like, well, 20 million already. Yeah, I can't be left behind. That's not fair. I need to be in on this. Taylor Swift, I love Taylor, you know?
Yeah.
And off they go. And then that's when you create the actual groundswell. So, you know, that was only like the last month, and I'm kind of with you on that. You know, Taylor Swift, I haven't muted her yet, but I'm very close to doing so because it's just relentless and it's clearly
there's
bullshit.
nothing of use when anyone tweets about Taylor Swift.
It reminds me of the Meghan Markle situation.
Yeah,
Greeno.
it's in the Markle realm, isn't it?
It is. And all we need now is for Taylor Swift to announce that she's going to do a podcast and she'll do 2 of them and get millions of dollars for that.
Yeah.
And, and then she'll have come full circle, I think. So,
yeah.
There
we go.
But you wouldn't use Spotify, would you? Because you have to pay.
I do.
Do you
no,
really?
No, I do. I use the free version, obviously.
Oh, okay. Well, what's your top 5 then?
Well, here's the fun fact, right? So after muting that, I'm like, I should really find out what the hell mine was. Now, a bit of backstory. Okay. When I put on Spotify,
I like stories about pinatas.
I assume people look up individual artists, right? And they just find an artist and they go play this artist. I don't do that. I like kind of predetermined genre playlists.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll sit there and go, I'm in the mood for some kind of like punk or 90s rock, and I'll just whack whatever that playlist is, whack that on.
Yeah.
And just have it on in the background or do it while I'm doing the workout, whatever. So I don't actually know what songs are up there. It just fits into a particular genre. So my number 1 song ended up somehow being Alien Ant Farm, Smooth Criminal.
Yeah, okay. I can see that.
Because that just happened to be in a bunch of different playlists to listen to.
Yep.
However, I was very proud and I was like, well, I can't dispute this one.
Was Papa Roach, did Papa Roach make its way in there?
There was no Papa Roach, no, it didn't squeeze in. But number 1, but I shit you not, was Richard Cheese, was my most listened to artist. And it even gave a little stat man for me to say,
I'm a scat man.
That worldwide, you're in the top 2% of listeners of Richard Cheese.
Wow, so there's one other guy then who listens to it.
One other guy, and I was
you.
top 2. Well, then technically, I potentially would have been in the bottom 50.
Yeah.
So I'm in the top 2%. There's at least 100, and I may be second.
Yeah, but there's one guy ahead of you who's just
ahead of me.
Yeah,
who's just smashing out cheese.
He's smashing out cheese and then like putting lipstick on and doing all sorts of weird shit at night that you don't want to talk about. And so the rest of the time he's listening to Richard Cheese.
Richard Cheese.
Stay top of the charts.
That's where my one stood. And this year I didn't dispute it because last year, remember I questioned it because I'm like, I can say 28 Days was number 1. That makes no sense. But then I realized I didn't even listen but nothing but genre music. So this year I did go through like a month where I made the kids listen to Richard Cheese while we were listening to eating dinner.
Fantastic.
So it makes sense that was my number 1 listen to.
You said kids, cheese is food and food is dinner related. Therefore, we listen to Richard Cheese.
Everyone's going to listen to Buddy Gooder. Yes. It's all good there. So that's middle of the week. Now we've got a bit of housekeeping to do, Damo.
Okay, housekeeping. Do we like housekeeping? Is that a favourite of the show? Or?
We do enjoy it. Because Steph got in touch because we were talking MXPX last week, sorry. And apparently we stumbled across a particular song. Steph all over it.
Yeah.
What was the song?
It was Chick Magnet.
Chick Magnet. There we
go. As soon as he said Chick Magnet, because it was in a text group, and he was like, oh, no, the song you're thinking of is Chick Magnet. And I was like, fucking of course it is. As soon as he said that, I remember how it goes. And it, Chick Magnet, like, so, of course, that was their big song. So nice, Gary, to Steph.
Nice, Gary to Steph.
Yeah.
Nice to get in touch. It doesn't listen live anymore. Always seems to miss the show.
Well, it's the daylight savings thing. So always for a few months you'll lose the States because it's an hour too long to stay up to listen to this shit. Trust me.
No, 100%. But admittedly, fair call. He did listen back to the podcast. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known. So we'll give him a fucking nice Gary for that.
Nice Gary for that.
Nice Gary.
He drops out of his position as listener number 4 because he's no longer listening, but he becomes podcast downloader number 7. So that's a good deal. Yeah,
everyone's a winner.
Yeah.
Now, a bit more housekeeping, Damo. Last week we missed National Goat Day. How?
We did, unfortunately. I don't know I don't even know which nation it was. It must have been the States because they do some funny things over there. Here you go. The dog walking forecast, but they've got the dog crossed out. Meet Sweetie and Bo, walked by Mitch Greeno. National Goat Day. There you have it. Yesterday was National Goat Day, so we'll turn over the walking forecast to Sweetie and Bo. They look pretty content. Lots of sunshine after some early morning clouds with temperatures still running about 3 to 5 degrees above normal. There you go.
Nice,
on Goat Day, Greeno.
Well done.
Now I know I know the easy thing to to say at these kinds of situations is, well, oh, these days there's a day for everything. But you know what? I'm happy to keep Goat Day if we get rid of some of the other ones.
We can get rid of some of the others as long as we get to keep Goat Day.
Yeah, I'm happy for Goat Day. Imagine, Tom Brady will be there, Greeno. Who else will be there? Fernando Alonso will be there on Goat Day, obviously.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods will be there on Goat Day, which means there's going to be a lot of cocktail waitresses hanging around.
100% tail everywhere.
Yeah.
MJ
Trim.
will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, plenty
Lots
of trim.
Yeah.
Yeah, for that.
Yeah.
Goat Day.
Goat Day.
Now, quick story time off the back of Goat Day.
I like stories about pinatas.
Did you buy a goat?
No, I did not buy a goat. What I have been doing, though, in the last couple of weeks, now I've got a morbid fear of magpies. So during the spring season, I refuse to leave my home, walking, riding, anything. So, so I refuse to leave my home. Now, once the magpie swooping season is done, it's time for me.
I can't think of when the magpie swooping season is. I thought it was spring. Okay.
It is. Yeah, so September through to kind of like October.
Okay. So you're in the clear now, though.
I'm clear now, November. So it gave me the chance to get back out on the bike, get a bit of exercise, get a bit of cardio in on the bike. And what has historically happened with the bike is I had my son on the back, right? So I had a little chair kind of installed on the back of the push bike.
Yeah.
It'd be an activity like father-son. We'd ride around the suburb for a bit, and, we'd all have a good time.
Yep.
Now, he's now getting too big for that thing, and there's too many hills in my suburb.
Right.
So having like a 20-kilo kid on the back of my bike going up a hill, fucking dangerous and just too hard on the glutes. So,
and you do live in like a 1980s San Francisco cop movie, when the cars go flying over the hills and smash.
100%. Everything is a 90-degree axis. Yeah. Exactly. I need a compass to get around this suburb. So, so took the carrier off the back, and it's just so that means Greeno gets to roam. And I haven't had a chance to do that since moving into the suburb. So I've just been riding around the suburb, exploring different areas.
Do what I want any old time. You can take your bike down to the train station, Greeno, and hang out with the kids down there.
With the kids, I can go hang out with the shoppies.
Could go and get a milkshake from the corner store. That'd be nice.
Could go get a slushie from the 7-Eleven.
Slushies, mate. Yes, but they're so hard to ride home with, aren't they? The slushies.
Yeah, fair call. You got to smash it down first and then ride back.
Yeah, or at least get it half so you can grab the top of it and kind of clench it like a brown paper bag.
Yeah, or substitute. I could put it because I do have a water holder in my thing. Whack the slushy in the
drinks holder under the bike
drink holder.
Now you're fucking talking. Now that's a good idea.
You know nothing about cycling. I know nothing about liquids. Between us, we solved it. So, been exploring the suburb. Randomly, the other day, I'm going past like a suburban backyard. Like there's farmland around in my area,
there is.
But this was not farmland. This was a suburban backyard. I'm running past, and I had to do a quick backtrack. So I'm like, did I just see what I thought I saw? 40 llamas in someone's backyard.
40 llamas. You counted
40 llamas. I sat there and counted the pricks because I'm like, there seems like a lot of llamas here. I better count them.
So someone in your neighborhood has a backyard llama farm going on.
100%.
Now, was it at that moment, Greeno, where you contemplated maybe I am living in the most redneck part of Australia right now?
I'm getting there, yeah.
Someone has a llama farm in their backyard. Imagine going out for a coffee on the back patio in the morning, seeing a fucking llama's head sticking over the fence, looking at you.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. So on the back of Goat Day, I thought I had to do the quick llama story. If I can do a quick more story time.
I like stories about pinatas.
Did we talk about on the show about my like part-time working for the last few weeks? I think we talked about that story time.
Another job? You got another job?
No, not a job. Basically, I just kind of like.
You're down to 4 a week. Yeah.
Down to 4 a week and had like 6 weeks of 4 days a week and a couple other holidays.
Yeah.
Now,
so you are going back to 5 days eventually, though.
Yeah. I think I go back in like 2 weeks.
Okay, so this was your option though, rather than take like 2 weeks or 3 weeks off in one hit. Just give me 1 day a week.
Just give me Fridays off for 2 months, and everyone's a winner.
I like it.
Now I didn't realize I have this thing called the annual leave curse.
Okay.
Which basically means anytime I either have a public holiday or I book a leave day,
something fucks up. Something goes wrong.
Something fucks up.
Yes,
So
that's true. That's true. And I don't know the story you're going to tell, but as soon as you've said that, I can remember all the other stories you've told about when you've gone on annual leave, and it's like, of course, you know, the kid was fucking sick and had to go to hospital or something, or of course, you know, the employment situation changed, or of course, there's always some reason that fucks up your holidays. It's
fucks
true.
up my holiday. Never have a good time, which is why I've got 600 hours of annual leave up my sleeve, because I figured there's no point taking it because something bad's going to happen.
That's right.
So week one got off to a bad start. So I've been doing this about 6 weeks now. Week one got off to a bad start because I was sick before I even started, but I had 4 days off planned. So here's me calling in sick literally 2 days before my leave starts, legitimately sick. So I spent my first whole week of leave sick myself.
Oh, now, mate. And it's the kind of sick you don't get credit for because it's happened 2 days before you go on leave.
Yeah.
Everyone at the office is going to go, look at this fucking piece of shit before he goes on holiday. So they're not going to be jumping in to help you with your stuff that comes in over the next couple of days. They're going to go, no, fuck him, leave it for him to do when he comes back.
Didn't help that I happened to be really sick on Melbourne Cup Day, so it's a bit shady.
Not going to the office for Melbourne Cup Day either. No, sorry about that.
None of that. Yeah. So got myself a PCR to prove that I was legitimately sick, and then fucking sent that bad boy in to make sure everyone knew I wasn't faking.
You had to prove that you were sick.
No,
now,
I didn't.
see, this is the
no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Yeah. I didn't have to prove it.
Yeah.
Just in the back of my mind, I'm like, people think I'm making this shit up.
Yeah.
Fuck them. I'm going to go get tested.
Look how quickly society can just turn into a rabid mob that runs directly back in the direction from whence they came in the first place, Greeno. Like, 12 months ago, you had to go jump through all sorts of loops to prove that you were healthy, and now we're right back to having to prove that you're sick again. And because nobody believes it, because everyone's been like, no, can't come in, COVID. Everyone's
you sneeze, can't come in, take a week off. Yep. Now it's like, I better go get tested to prove that I'm not ill. So that was week one. Week two, I was actually okay for. However, my fun plans were limited because I was meant to have a golf day with the boys, meant to have beers. But turns out my daughter had a birthday party to go to that night, which meant Daddy couldn't go out drinking because I had to be back to do that. So my fun day got cut in half, which is fine. That's no dramas. That's not illness. And
if you can't sink beers when you're playing golf, I will say this in all honesty, there is no point to playing golf.
Well, I still went out, so I didn't miss out on the day.
No. Everyone knows the truth. For us who hit them around, kind of 20 or 30 over par or thereabouts on average, if there's no beer at the golf course, then there should be no you at the golf course either. And go to one that actually serves beer. Go to the one that we played every now and then, Greeno. I won't say the exact name of it, but out west, out west.
You can say the Colonial.
No, further west than that. Past Penrith. We played there a few times. And near the tip, when I'm talking about, like in the wooded area. Yeah. And where they actually have the girl come around on the golf cart with the cold fucking beers in the back of the golf cart, Greeno, sell them to you on the course. That's right.
On the course. That's it.
It's supposed to be.
Where I believe your brother-in-law was a big fan of that particular golf course solely for that reason, and would be munted by whole nine.
Yeah, well before. Be drinking on the way there. Drinking on the way there, Greeno.
7 a.m.
Yeah.
Pissed off in the first tee.
Absolutely.
I like it. So that was week two. Week three, my son caught the flu, so that ruined that day off.
Yeah.
Then week four, my daughter caught the flu my son had, so that ruined that day. Now, at this point, I've got 2 more weeks of holidays left, of 4 days left. And I've piggybacked to put a long weekend on this coming Monday to make up for the fucking sickness.
Wait, is Monday a long weekend? Or?
Well, it is for me. So took another day off. Okay. So I'm like, this way I'm making up for the fact that 2 of my days have been ruined. Well, 3 of my 4 days have already been ruined.
God, you're such an accountant, man. You fucking really are. So minus 2 days, I need to add 2 days, then plus that one. Yeah. They took half a day off me, and so I need to earn that back somehow.
Now I need to add this one back. Spot on. So I'm like, look, the kids have already had the flus and colds, so they're good for the next month, right?
Yes.
They've got immunity to those things. We are fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Greeno's loading up annual leave days now to make up for the fucked up ones.
Locked in. I've got plans.
Locked in. I've got
Friday.
today off. I've got Monday off. I've got next Friday off. We are fucking home. This is
We're doing
great.
shit. We're doing stuff.
We're having a good time, man. I'm going to go play some golf. I'll get out. I'll enjoy the sun. I go to the beach.
Yeah.
I have
Get
coffees.
some sun on you. Yeah, get out of the office.
I love steak. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so good.
Barbecues, beers, babes on the beach. Fucking, you're living the dream, my man.
Everyone's winning, right? Then I get a little ding on my phone yesterday, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it's a little message.
Was it one of those moments where you could feel it coming well before you looked down at the phone? You knew what it was going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it. I think it was the last week's show where I said, when someone calls me, I know someone's dead.
Yes.
Like, don't call me.
Yes.
It was one of those kind of situations where I'm like, this is not going to be a good ding on a Wednesday or Thursday. Sorry, yesterday. So it goes ding, and it looks, it's a little message from daycare. Okay. Now, the message is, we have had a fucking shit ton of COVID in our facility for the last week. We recommend, if you can, do not send your kids so we can get in control of this outbreak.
Wait. So,
like,
whoa. Hang on. We need to interrupt the story.
I like stories about pinatas.
If I just heard this correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Greeno, the daycare center is now begging for you not to send your kids because of the outbreak that they were apparently already aware of for a number of days, and then just waited until it got out of control until they said something. Is that correct? Oh,
that is correct.
Nice, Gary.
So fantastic work.
Straight away, my mind has gone into two prongs, right?
Yeah.
Firstly, it's gone, well, there goes the 3 days of annual leave I've now booked in the next week.
Yeah,
that's now fucked up.
We're on COVID duty.
But two, it's also, hang on, you're telling me your facility is so unsafe that I probably shouldn't send my kid. Am I still going to have to pay for them to go on those days? So I sent a message, and I'm like, well, if we keep our kids home as you've requested,
where's my money back guarantee, bitch?
Look, are we still going to get charged full fee? And the reply, I was fucking ready to kick my phone because the reply was, we are just making you aware of all the cases. If you wish to still send your child, you're allowed to do so. I'm like, but you just fucking told me that there's fucking so much Rona out there inside your facility. It's like a cesspool. I might as well send my son into a death pit. No. I guess I'll just fork out more hundreds of dollars because you guys can't keep your fucking facility safe.
Yeah.
Not particularly the facility's fault. It's more the dickhead parents who are sending their kids sick. Don't fucking do it. Like, here's a bit of advice. Like, we need a segment here called, Greeno's Advice Line or something.
Okay. Where people call in with their problems, their life problems, and you deal with them.
Yeah, but like,
we can do that.
First bit of advice dished out, though.
Yeah.
If you've got a sick kid, don't be a fuckwit and send them to the daycare and ruin everyone else's life.
People don't care about anyone else, though. That's a silly thing to ask society, Greeno. No one cares about your problems.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So now I've got my son home for the next 2 weeks because apparently his daycare is a germ pit, which we already knew was a germ pit, but now it's a dangerous germ pit. But to the point where they're like, there's too much Rona in here. Don't send your kids if you don't have to. But if you do, which the irony is, the people that do need to send them are kind of like, obviously people that need to go to work, i.e. nurses, doctors, who, if they bring the COVID home, like, I'm sure that's going to work out fine. So that sums up my annual leave curse, sir.
Yeah, well, nice, Gary. Nice story.
I like stories about pinatas.
And again, it just goes to show you the ridiculousness of it, that we're now at the situation where, again, people were being threatened with their livelihoods. People were getting fined and arrested just for being outside 2 years ago. It was reminiscent of
outside certain apartment buildings.
Yes,
it was army, wasn't it? At one point, outside certain apartment buildings in Melbourne.
Yeah. And it was all very serious. And we're now at this situation where, I don't think anyone could have predicted this. Where it's casual to the point of, look, everyone here's got COVID. So look, if you decide after you've booked your kid in that you're not going to bring them because of the COVID. Well, we're still going to charge you because it's your choice whether you bring it or not. And like some of us were saying that from the get-go, like you should be open and it's your choice whether you bring them or not. All we had to do apparently was have 2 years of lockdowns and crushing laws and fines and throwing people in prison for walking their dogs and stuff. That's all we had to do to get to the point where everyone's like, oh, okay, well, look, we got COVID here, so if you bring them down, it's your own fault, you know. So, I mean,
Greeno's now out thousands of dollars because people are dickheads and send their kids to daycare sick.
Yep, and you're missing out on your holiday days yet again. Another curse.
Absolutely cursed.
Yeah.
So good news now. I've got tickets to Elton John in January.
Do you really?
Yeah. So pumped for that, but already told the wife.
What they cost you?
A bit. So
how much?
A fair bit.
All right. If I say a number, can you say higher or lower? And I'll just take one shot. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, two tickets. It's me and the wife going.
So 2 tickets, but I'm thinking the price of 1 ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 300.
Higher. Farewell tour, mate. Farewell tour. Got to see Elton.
Yeah, he's like the Rolling Stones, though. He's had half a dozen farewell tours.
No. Elton's been fucking. He's like, I'm sticking around forever. This time, he's like, yeah, it'll probably be my last.
Time to check out.
Yep. Yeah, but with that said, like, I also have a big ticket purchase curse.
Okay.
So anytime I spend more than $300 on a ticket, something fucks up. So me and you were meant to go to Seinfeld. When was that? 2018, maybe?
Yeah, I was incredibly ill.
You were incredibly ill.
Violently ill.
You were violently ill, but I caught what you had, but it hit me a week after.
Mm-hmm.
So you got kind of on the back end, but you hauled your ass there.
Well, it was pretty rough, mate.
You were pretty rough. I was bedridden, and me and the wife missed Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Same thing happened for a couple of other concerts where, spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars and then got so ill, could not attend. So I have a bad curse. So what we're doing now with that is we're going into COVID-style lockdown 2 weeks before inside my house, refusing to leave. No one's allowed in, no one's allowed out. Jeez. And the only time we're leaving the house is Elton Day.
Elton Day.
Elton Day.
Do you like your novelty comedy songs organic? Handmade with painstaking care, put into every note. Well, look no further than Irrational Times. Using only the finest instruments to create an experience that your ears will thank you for later. Irrational Times attempts to elevate the whimsy to a desirable level. New songs and sketches every week, so check it out.
There's a place that we can go to watch old things. All the warm, fuzzy member berries it brings. It's a special little spot tucked away on D-Live. Enjoy the joy of Pessy. Campy old movies and old cartoons. We hope to see you over there very soon. It's our special little spot tucked away on D-Live. Enjoy the joy of Pessy. When we were kids and there wasn't any school, we'd sit and watch all the best cartoons, eating cereal until it was noon. We'd never thought that 30 years later it'd still be cool. Saturday night and cheesy movies, the ones that used to show us boobies. It's our special little spot tucked away on D-Live. Enjoy the joy of Pessy. Enjoy the joy of Pessy. Enjoy the joy of Pessy.
Now with less than 3% sport content. It's the starting block. on tavshow.com.
Yes, welcome back to the block, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter. Now known as a Nazi sympathising hellhole, apparently. I was interested to note earlier, Greeno. Of course, you would have witnessed a little bit of what was going on today with Kanye West on Twitter and all the hoopla and chutzpah and whatnot surrounding it.
No,
And,
Kanye and Elon both muted.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let me just fill you in briefly. So he was removed off the platform today for apparently loving Nazis too much, Greeno.
Okay.
He said, I love Nazis, I love Jews, I love Nazis, and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, Hitler was a good guy. So he tweeted some picture out. Yeah, he tweeted some picture out, and Twitter removed him. And I was reading all the, flicking past more or less, the corporate media articles talking about how Kanye was removed for anti-Semitic behavior. But then I also remembered, 24 hours ago, maybe less, when all of the media were in concert saying that Twitter has now become a safe haven for Nazis. So it's kind of like, which one is it? Because if it's a safe haven for Nazis, why would he have been removed for loving Nazis too much? Doesn't make much sense, does it?
No.
So anyway, apparently...
I'll hear the argument.
That's right. So apparently Twitter is now a Nazi sympathising hellhole where they ban the most famous Nazi sympathiser.
There you go.
There you go. And you can follow us there at the starting block. One word, drop the K at the end.
Well, the other thing Yeezy also did today, because I don't follow any of the Nazi gear.
Taking it easy.
What he also alleged was that another basketball player was allegedly
Chris
smashing
Paul
his ex-wife.
was fucking his wife, apparently.
There you go. Yeah.
Chris Paul, who briefly played with the Houston Rockets, good player, really good player.
Very good player.
Never won a ring though, did he?
Generation. No, he can't win a title.
Yeah, he's always been a guy who's been at the second best team. When he was at the Clippers, they were the second best kind of thing.
Yeah, but with that said, like the Suns, the year they lost, they probably should have won, but didn't. So been there or thereabouts. Yeah. But apparently, smashing Kim K. Look, surely she's been through so many sports stars. Like,
has she? I thought she's been with more rappers than sports stars.
Combination. I think if you did a tally side by side, pretty close.
How many do you think?
I reckon there's 30 on each column.
30 on each.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. I think I'd probably go more 30 total.
You reckon 30 total?
15
30.
on each.
Yeah, but these are the ones that are reported. I reckon, the under the radar ones, you're talking.
Yeah.
There's double. Like, once again, if the number in reality is always double what is reported. So
she was kind of moral finger wagging during the week about her ex Kanye, and there was an issue with some pro pedophilic fucking advertising that with one of the companies she's associated with and all this kind of stuff. And she came out and said, we're going to do what's best and we're going to look at the situation and we'll remedy the situation and, we're good people, blah, blah, blah. And one of the replies to that was, aren't you the person who released their own sex tape to get famous? Like, so what's this bullshit about I don't want my kids, I don't want a bad influence for my kids kind of thing? Because that's what she was moral finger wagging, like, oh, well, as a mother, let me tell you. And it's like, well, hang on, as a mother, any one of your friends, your children's friends can Google your name and see you sucking some guy's dick on the internet, so, I mean, kind of both.
As a mother, without that said procreation, that she isn't a mother. So, full circle. Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
Should we look at biggest story of the week while we're talking inane, pointless shit on the internet?
What is the biggest story of the week, Greeno?
This one day, mate. Mia Favola says she's ready for summer as a single woman in Sorrento after a string of high-profile relationships.
Now is Mia Favola his ex or his sister or what? Daughter. Yeah. So for our American listeners, Mia Favola is the daughter of a former sports star. I had no idea who Mia Favola was. A great star, though, mind you. Brendan Favola, a big character. And we've played the famous drunken Favola clip on the show many times.
Pissed idiot, but very, very good football player.
And a very likable kind of jovial kind of, you know what he's like? He's like the Max Walker of modern day AFL, Greeno. If you know what I mean. He's like, dingoes are drop kicks and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah, but I think it's more all the gear is on.
Yeah, that's fine by me. If you're on the gear and it makes you more entertaining, then I'm happy to be in your personage. Yeah.
But I tell you what I'm not happy about, the fact that we have to read this in so-called news articles, that his daughter, after getting amongst it, has said, look, I know I've been out there, I've been around the block, but this time, ready for summer as a single woman.
You know what? I don't know why you lot out there.
This in the fucking news, man.
I don't know why you lot out there criticize the Murdoch press as much as you do, because clearly you're not following what they actually do. They do at least 3 times as much inane celebrity gossip as they do anything political. You know, so they're really not this big political juggernaut you think they are. They'd rather talk about Rebecca Judd than they would Anthony Albanese half the time. So, you know, and then this is just another fine example. So
another fine example. Now,
are we copying? I've got a controversial thing for you here, Greeno. Okay. And I want you to come with me. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to say that our wags quickly. If let's say someone created a TV show, you know, like the Housewives of LA or the Housewives of Sydney or Melbourne, right?
Those shows, yep.
So what if they created one which was for the wags, and it'll be the wags of Australia versus the wags of the UK versus the wags of the United States? I'm going to put it to you that our wags were once the tail enders in that trio, but they are now streets ahead in terms of drama and fucking constantly being in the news and all that kind of shit. The Australian wags are like right at the top of the ladder now. They have become the cream of the crop when it comes to celebrity gossip content creators.
Content creators. Yeah, very, very good point. Yeah, they'd definitely be up there. Not quite number 1 with a bullet, but maybe top 5 with a bullet for sure.
Now, I'm wondering where do we put the D in now to the wags? Because this is not a wag. This is not a wife and a girlfriend. This is a daughter.
Yeah.
So they need to be the wags or something. The wadges, Greeno.
The wadges.
The wadge. Yeah. Love the wadge.
Right. This is kind of, this is getting next level, isn't it?
Yeah,
we're now no longer talking about just the wives and girlfriends. We're now adding the kiddies.
The kids.
This is almost puppies and babies, but she's obviously not a baby anymore because she's been getting dicked down for a couple of years by the looks of it.
Well, that's what she's saying.
That's what she's saying. She's ready for fun. Honestly, it's been a really fun year.
I've had fun, and now I'm ready to settle down.
And my work and my study, it's one of the best experiences I've had. I'm feeling really happy. Why is this in the fucking paper? This is something you put in like your end of year school journal where like you've been to school
diary,
and then you're like, it's time for me to turn my life around. Like I'm gonna go to uni, I'm a new person, and like this is just summer for me. Yep. I'm just gonna take time for myself.
The summer of Mia, Greeno.
Yeah, I'm gonna take time for myself. I'm gonna discover myself this summer. And this will just all be about the summer of Mia and just kind of really experiencing me. Just for me. Yeah. And literally, as soon as a cute guy walks past, I'm like, fucking bathroom stall.
Hello, boys.
Hello, boys. So that's that. Now, I thought that was probably the worst thing we could see in the news this week. But I think you maybe found it. I forget who found this.
Oh, yeah, I found this. Yeah.
We found next level of why is this in the news? Now, we know the Daily Mail is the lowest of the low when it comes to news.
No, but they're also the pioneers of British tabloid trash. And if you can appreciate British tabloid trash as the trash that it is, it's very, very enjoyable because they're so bitchy about everyone all the time.
Yeah, it's a lot of hate.
It's a lot of hate in those pages, and it's playful hate though. You know what I mean? It's kind of more like banter than it is hate.
Yeah,
to be fair. But yes, they are the pioneers of the kind of trashy tabloid market in the UK, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we were talking about the Kardashians, weren't we, just before?
We were.
So wouldn't you know it? It's another associate of the Kardashians. Now, I thought this was particularly good. Kylie Jenner's BFF, Anastasia Stassi Karanakalau, Greeno, celebrates her sister's engagement in Cabo. And so I just want to point out. That's right. So we're not actually talking about it's not a Kylie Jenner story, even though her name is in the headline.
The least famous of the Jenners, would you say?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. There's probably a few bastards running around out there that none of us have heard of yet.
Oh, the bloke's probably the least famous in the family.
Yeah, because he probably chooses to be that way, which he should get a nice Gary for, I reckon.
Nice,
He's got no ass. That's the problem.
Yeah, look, I'm not interested in the show, Mum. Just send me a check, would you?
Yeah.
Just give me the cash, mate.
But she's probably the next. Yeah, she'd probably be the next one on the tiers, if you will.
The tiers.
So she's got to find a way to get her name out there a bit more.
That's right.
So she's gone with the BFF.
Well, it's either that or the person who has the internship at the Daily Mail celebrity social media job, Greeno, figures that they need to get Kylie Jenner's name into the article somehow. In order to generate clicks for themselves. And I mean, it clearly worked. They got 3 likes and 1 retweet, and I sent this, on Tuesday? So clearly it's going off its tits.
People are all over Kylie Jenner's BFF's sisters.
Right. They can't get enough.
It's not even a BFF's engagement. It's a BFF sisters engagement.
That's exactly the point.
It's the Kevin Bacon thing, isn't it?
Exactly. So it's not. So even though Kylie Jenner's name is mentioned in the headline, it's not about Kylie Jenner. Now it mentions Kylie Jenner's BFF, a girl named Anastasia Karanakalau, also in the headline. Guess what? It's not about her either. Now, she's celebrating her sister's engagement in Cabo. Ironically, the story is about the one person whose name is not mentioned in the fucking headline.
Not mentioned. And once again, also, sister's engagement.
Engagement.
There's no wedding.
Yeah, it's
there's
not a
no
wedding.
party.
No.
It's someone proposed. We don't know if this wedding's ever going to happen.
Yep. So it's the best friend's sister.
Sister got engaged.
There you go. And three likes and one retweet, Greeno.
And probably 4 too many there to be frank.
Okay.
That's enough of that. Now, I want to talk about this one. Now, we've talked about delayed cancellation before. This one made...
What was the most recent delayed cancellation we discussed, Greeno?
Remember that people were offended by someone who'd been dead for 30 years?
Yes.
That was one we talked about.
Yeah, there was a guy. There was a guy who, like, a country football stadium was named after him, and he had a particularly offensive name apparently. And he'd been dead for 50 or 60 years or something. Died in World War II, and everyone was upset about it. We need to change it. Coon cheese, Greeno.
Wasn't there some complaint about John Wayne movies from the 1930s as well?
Yeah, probably. Whatever it is. Yeah.
Seems a bit sexist in that one. But I saw this one today where Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys.
Okay.
A bit of hoo-ha. What the fuck? What's Jerry done? What's going on here?
Yep.
And apparently there's a bit of controversy about something that happened literally fucking 60 years ago.
Okay, let's have a look. Now, who's this guy that we're watching here? So he apparently has the hot take, I'm guessing.
He's got the hot take on this one. This is David Sampson, who used to be one of the owners or the general manager of the Miami Marlins.
Okay.
Now he's a talking head for sports shows.
Okay, all right, let's have a look.
This is the outrage that I have. Kevin Hart is not allowed to host the Oscars and has to pass on it because of things and jokes and things that he did when he was younger.
Well, wait a minute. Though Kevin Hart wasn't a kid, David. Kevin Hart wasn't a teenager when he made those jokes.
I don't view a difference between a 19-year-old and a 32-year-old.
I'd say 13 years.
Yeah.
Want to be statistically accurate.
If you look at his face, he knows what he just said then is complete BS, because every single person, and look, if you're younger than 32, you won't get it, right? But if you're like us and you're on the other side of 32, and you think of, when I think of myself as a 19-year-old, I cringe in embarrassment.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And I think pretty much all of us do, you know. Unless you're like a 19-year-old fucking Formula One driver or something, and then you probably don't. You're probably fine. Even then, they probably cringe at some TV interview or something they did where they were embarrassed or something, and everyone tweeted about it. You know, they'd probably have their own things too. So there's no difference between 19 and 32. Okay, so the thing that he did was he did it when he was 19 years old. Okay, long before he. Okay, all right.
I'm not willing to give Josh Hader the benefit of the doubt that he was a kid.
There.
I'm not willing to give Jerry Jones the benefit of the doubt that he was curious and didn't know what it was because he was 14.
Oh, he was 14. So the guy wasn't even 19.
No, 14.
14.
He was a 14-year-old who happened to stumble across, we'll get to it eventually in the clip,
Okay.
something that is now offensive. But as a 14-year-old, went across like, he's not even a fucking legal person, but let's cancel him.
Okay.
It's context. Of course he knew what it was.
See, it's always the pricks like this who did the most shit when they were 14. You know what I mean? It's always. I would love to get dug into this guy's 14-year-old fucking self, his yearbook, and see what he was up to at 14. You know what I mean?
Interesting kind of like, kind of a weird kind of reverse racism kind of thing happening here.
Okay.
So he defended Kevin Hart, who's a black man.
Yes.
But the two names that he quickly raised were two white guys, Josh Hader and Jerry Jones. Okay. So Josh Hader had some weird Facebook posts when he was like a 16-year-old kid, which were offensive, and 100% they were offensive. But he's a 16-year-old kid, and then they got brought up a couple of years ago at the All-Star game. He's like 28, 29 now. And they're like, oh, we pulled these out just before the biggest moment of this guy's career because he'd never been an All-Star before. And then he had to apologize for something he fucking said as a kid. He's using that guy as the same thing. Like, no, like there's a difference. Once again, kids kind of fuckwits and they don't know and they haven't experienced the world yet and they don't understand what words mean and sometimes what people might be offended by certain things. But once again, he's saying he doesn't believe the white guy. He's like, no, white guys don't get a pass. But the black guy, that's fine. It's kind of weird reverse racism.
Remember I covered on my podcast a while ago now the curious case of Ollie Robinson, Greeno. Yeah,
that's right.
He was retrospectively cancelled from the England cricket team. He's just played the game of his life, mind you. He's debuted. It's his proudest day. He's made the English cricket team. And the next day they say, look at this shit he tweeted when he was like 17 or 18 years old. And then he had to go and get like fucking diversity education classes because he tweeted something like, my Muslim friend is the bomb. Yeah. So he had to go and get re-education classes and stuff to prove that he's not a racist, I guess. So we've seen this before, but you know what I think this is this guy. He was trying to, and look, I agree with his initial point. I didn't want Kevin Hart to I don't think anyone should get cancelled for stuff like that.
No, 100%.
So I agree with his original point. Well, hang on. So I agree with I agree with his original point. Yeah, that Kevin Hart shouldn't have been cancelled, but he doubles down. I think he's excited to be on TV or something because he goes way too hard on the point and actually becomes the villain. So Kevin Hart shouldn't have been cancelled. Great, I agree. Yeah, because when this white guy did something when he was 14 years old, that's just as bad. That's exactly the same thing. It's like, well, no, hang on, now you're just being silly. So, I want to agree with you. I do. But you got way too excited, and now he's going to stick to it like shit to a blanket because that is preferable than backtracking and go, well, actually, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Like that was probably going a little bit too far, clearly. So let's have a look how far he takes it.
You don't see the difference between going through Josh.
Look at his face. He knows he fucked up, and he's going to have to dig himself out of a hole now, this idiot.
Hader's tweets as a teenager and Kevin Hart being getting close to the Oscars and not apologizing again for tweets that were years earlier, not as a teenager when he was a famous entertainer?
No.
Nice, Gary!
He knows it's not a no, though, doesn't he? But he's got nothing to add to that.
No, because the black man said something which was not appropriate as an adult, but you can't say that's a bad thing.
No.
You got to defend that because you're woke, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, kids doing something. 1957, I think this one was.
Can I ask you something? Is Sparky his nickname, or is that a famous Florida shirt there? Sparky.
It's a famous Florida shirt. That's Sparky Anderson. Yeah.
Okay.
I do not. As I'm evaluating what impact it has today, the fact that Kevin Hart gets taken away
55 years ago.
From the Oscars.
Back today? What?
But Josh Hader pitches in the All-Star game and everyone forgets about it as though it didn't happen. Is that what's happening with Jerry Jones? Is it the same thing because he was 14, so people were going to move past it? Is that LeBron's point?
I do believe plenty of people are forgiving or explaining away Jerry Jones with the idea of
I don't know what they're doing. You can't vote, you can't drink, you can't drive a car at 14-year-old. How is your opinion valid at 14 then?
Basically, unless you murder somebody, you will be treated as a child at the age of 14. In some and in some rare cases, and it has to be a pretty special one, they will take a 14-year-old and go, okay, you know what? This is so heinous. We don't ever want to see you out in the world ever again, and we need to lock you up now. And the only way to do that is to try you as an adult.
Yeah.
You know? So that happens rarely. But I mean, retrospective cancelling. This is probably stretching the bow about as far as it'll go just before it snaps, Greeno.
It's pretty far. Like
14-year-old guy.
I'm not a big fan of those were the times, But realistically,
no, please remind the audience, Greeno, when was he 14 exactly? In
1957.
1957.
This is what the outrage is about. Something happened when he was a 14-year-old in 1957.
What a fucking idiot this guy on the left is.
100% he is.
I'm telling you, he was trying to make a point and he went a little too far with it. And instead of backing down and going, whoa, I maybe overstepped the mark, he decided to run with it. And this is what fucking happens. He ran straight into a bridge.
Because he refused to just do what ESPN wanted him to do. And he's like, no, I want to call out this racial inequality stuff. He wanted to be a supporter for black athletes, etc.
Well, I'm glad he's not on ESPN now doing it then.
When he's calling out the other dude, the other dude's fucked up hard. Because this guy got sacked and created his own network because of that shit. Yeah. So, well done. So,
nice, Gary.
Good news. Doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter how young you were when you said, my son said some fucking heinous shit earlier. Yep. He's 4.
Mr. Greeno, thank you for applying for the job of assistant senior associate partner here at the firm. We just do have a couple of questions we'd like to tick off. It's just a formality, of course, you understand in this process. Number one, is it true that you did in fact turn to your kindergarten teacher at the age of 5 and refer to her as poo-poo head? Did that happen?
That's it. Permanent record, sir.
Permanent record.
Permanent record. It is true. So
when you were 11, when I was Mr. BoogieBumper, is it true that when you were 5-year-old, you were hauled to the principal's office by the neck because you were throwing rocks at passing cars? Yeah, I'm afraid it is. So straight to prison, retrospective prison, Greeno. That's the only way to fix this. Lock them all up.
All right, let's get off the serious stuff. Let's talk sport, but not quite sport. So saw this throughout the week, and the sense of entitlement, Damo, is it left a bad taste in my mouth. So past Australian cricketers have been left disillusioned by the scrapping of hospitality functions traditionally held for them at men's home test matches.
What are they getting? Tell them what they're winning, Bob.
They get a ticket and a $30 food and drink voucher, Damo.
Nice.
These fucking suckholes have been mooching off the tit of Cricket Australia for the better part of God knows how long.
It's tradition, Greeno.
The tradition is that they can come and get a free lunch and free piss.
Of course.
And that's just what they're going to get. So now they're like, hang on, why are we just giving all these guys all this free shit? That makes no sense.
I reckon you should have to sing for your supper, take after the great Kerry O'Keefe, and if you want to get the the dinner ticket and the fucking free drinks, then you at least have to do some kind of speech or something.
You're 100% correct.
You got to earn your keep. That's it, mate. Yeah. That's it, 100%. So you need to speak at the luncheon, and then you can eat for free. That's
you can have a snack. Yeah, 100%. Go to the buffet, boys. Dig in.
That's right.
It's a sizzler. It's open. Now, this writer, Daniel Brettig, he doubled down on it though, and he's like, well, the players feel like they created this windfall for Australian cricket, so they deserve to make sure that they get these particular entitlements. Now, what happens if you're a cricketer that was during a low economic era? Okay, fair call. Like if someone generally generated a shit ton of money for Cricket Australia, maybe have a credit system.
Okay.
Go on, look, Warnie, I know he's dead, but let's say for theoretical purposes,
yes.
Warnie's estate, you generated
Steve Waugh, I'm going to put up there. But you generated
$12 million for Australian cricket. Ricky Ponting, you and the Rexona ads, you generated
Brett Lee, Greeno. Brett Lee puts them all to shame purely just with his Bollywood cash alone. He puts them all to shame. Yeah.
So, Brett Lee, you've got $11 million worth of free lunches and tickets in your credit. Now, Rob Quiney, perhaps.
the most composed 8.
The greatest 9 we've ever seen in Test cricket.
The greatest 9 in Test cricket history.
You generated minus money.
Bryce McGinn, Greeno.
Bryce McGinn. Bryce McGinn owes Cricket Australia $4,000.
He's got to pay. You got to get the checkbook out, and then you're even. Yeah.
They're doubling up their lunch. They're like, oh, well, the ticket, the interest on the ticket, the meals, the pads.
Yes.
Okay, you owe us $4,000.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fair outcome.
Okay.
So
I can dig it. Yeah.
Because if the argument is, they helped generate and create the platform, look, let's be specific with who did.
Okay, so Gilly
wants a free lunch.
Yeah,
Gilly wants a free lunch.
Gilly can get a free lunch. What about Can't Bowl, Can't Throw, Greeno? Does he get a free lunch?
Scott Moller is not getting a free lunch. No. He's out. He's not even getting a sausage roll, Damo. Now he can get a sausage. He can get the sausage rolls that are left in the Bain Marie at the end of the 5th day.
I was going to say Ian Healy is invited, but he only gets to have a salad. No meat for him.
No meat for him.
He hasn't earned a steak yet.
Very good. Yeah. If you're a current player and you want a free, no, that's not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this is solely ex-players.
Sean Tate gets a hot dog, I reckon, because he did contribute just a bit. Bit of excitement, bit of money came in because of Sean Tate advertisements on T20 and stuff. So,
man, you know nothing about cricket. I know nothing about food. Between us, we fixed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think all their perks should be related to their performance.
Right.
So he was the wild thing, right? So
2-minute noodles.
2 noodles or hot wings. Only for Sean Tate.
Right.
Just fucking wild stuff.
Yep.
What's a nice consistent dish? We'll give that to Michael Bevan.
Yeah. Porridge.
Porridge. Hodge, something that's a bit bitter.
Yeah. Michael Clark, we give him a pavlova because it looks really fancy, but it's not. There's not a lot of substance to it. It's very fluffy.
Yeah, it looks fancy on top, but really, when you get deep down, it's still just a meringue.
Simon Kadich gets pork chops because it ain't pretty, but there's a lot to it. You know, it's a hearty meal.
He gets pork knuckle because he's a hard knuckle.
That's it. Love it.
Yeah. So, there we go. There's a solution for you, Cricket Australia. Yep. We'll save you some money on the budget. We've put a credit system out there. Yep. And also, I think all food and all tickets should be definitely related to their performance on the field.
Fantastic work.
What's the next one? Working class. What do we got here?
Cam Smith.
Oh, this fucking, my God, this cracked me up. So the live, you know much about the live golf, Damo?
I know that it was a Greg Norman thing, Big Dick Greg, as he's known on the show.
So it's a rebel league created by the Saudis.
Yes, but Greg Norman is their PR guy, basically.
He's their PR guy. So they offered it to Jack Nicklaus, said, we'll pay you like $100 million to be the face of live golf, Jack. And Jack's like, no, man, I'm not dealing with no Saudis. Fuck that.
And Greg said, show me the money.
They're like, Greg, we'll pay you $100 million. Greg's like, fuck yeah, have you seen my dick? Like, I'll show you the photo.
Because he's an Australian. So someone was doing a rort and Greg thought, I'll be in on the ground floor.
Oh, in on that? Ground floor, $100 million? Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So
I didn't win that many majors anyway. Who gives a fuck?
Exactly. Greg gets on board and then they've signed the thing. So it's been a PR disaster for anyone who's signed with Live Golf. Mm-hmm. But Cameron Smith comes down, he signs with Live Golf after winning the British Open.
That's right. But the difference is Cam Smith is not like an over the hill like a Phil Mickelson or what have you. No, Cam Smith's a young guy and everyone likes him. That's
top 5 in the world. Yeah, that's exactly.
Right. A very likable dude.
But he's running the mill. So he came down, obviously, and played in the Australian Golf Tour. First time we've had it back in 3 years, which is nice. Yeah. And he got cheered and all that. So the PR machine started to get to work. And it's like, they're like, oh, look, it's amazing that
milk this.
People can push the politics aside and just appreciate an athlete for what it is. But Crash Craddock, once again, people going to areas they shouldn't be. Crash Craddock, amazing cricket writer.
Yep.
But just stay out of golf, man.
Stay out of the golf, Crash.
Because they've tried to put Cam Smith as the working class man. Okay. So Cam Smith just claimed his 3rd Joe Kirkwood Cup, which is like an Australian PGA Cup. Mm-hmm. But the working class hero, phrase, working class hero.
He's a working class man. Oh, yeah. Cold Chisel playing in the background, Greeno. Get me a schooner, working class, Cam Smith. Fucking shit in the carby, bro.
Exactly. Cam Smith got paid like $250 million to go play Liverpool.
Nice, Gary.
Nice,
The working class hero.
The working class hero that just got paid $250 million from the Saudis and has won about $100 million on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Stop. Don't. Like, if people can't see through this, like, you are fucking blind.
Blue collar hero.
Power through to the end.
Yeah, I want to show you this guy, Greeno, because I think this is Twitter the person. A man ran out onto the pitch during a Qatar FIFA World Cup match carrying, quote, a pride flag, wearing a shirt that read Save Ukraine and respect for Iranian women, Greeno. He's covering all of them. Look at that.
He's got it all covered, man.
That is Twitter the human being running out there on the field. Look at him.
Definitely fucking nice Gary for this, man. Because he's
Gary.
like, look, I can imagine him at home, right? Because obviously protesters, they want to send their message.
Yeah.
But he's at home and he's just torn, right? He's like, I got the rainbow flag, got fucking his shirt, and I got this placard over here. Fuck, man, I put it out on a Twitter poll. Which one should I protest? But fuck it, let's go all three. He made the most of it. Now, I don't know about you, Damo, but if I'm going to protest at a particular country, I don't know whether Qatar is the one I'm going to do that protest at.
Yeah, if I'm going to protest, I'm not going to be brave at all. I'm going to do it in a country like Australia, United States, Canada, England, where
children in the backshed and no one knows about it.
Well, I won't get thrown in a dungeon if I protest there. At worst, I'll become a social media hero to a whole bunch of idiots online, who will march out the front of the police station with free BoogieBumper hashtag banners, He's a freedom fighter. That'll happen,
It's the Brittany Griner thing, isn't it?
That's right. But if you protest in some of these other countries, Greeno, they don't take kindly to protests. Yeah.
Go. You want to protest in England? Go nuts. You want to protest in Australia? Go nuts. And I get, like, the point of a protest is like, hey, man, we can stand up to the man. Yeah, but it's a bit different when the man can fucking kill you in a backshed and no one cares about it. Like, your body will disappear. It's like the mob in Vegas, baby. Like, that body is just going to get buried.
Yep.
No one's going to see you again. Your family's not going to know about it. And some of the Brittany Griner, like, you're going to you got how much weed on you? Not much. Doesn't matter. It's against the law in Russia.
You know how people talk about
25 years.
You know how people talk about the Mexican drug cartels, and there's so much desert in Mexico that if you get on their bad side, you just disappear because they just drive you out in the middle of the desert somewhere and bury you. And and it's it's so far from anywhere that no one will ever find you again. No one will ever think to look for you. So they don't know how many bodies are buried out there in the desert of Mexico. Now, let me tell you something about the Middle East. You know what they got a lot of? Sand.
Nice, Gary.
A lot of fucking sand out there. A lot more than they have in Mexico too. And they've got oil money. Oil money, Greeno. Oil money. So they've got like oil money assassinations that they can run over in that part of the world. But anyway, Twitter the person doing what they do best, making a small impact that people cared about for about 3 or 4 hours, and then everybody moved on with their lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to moving on, Damo, is the US's excitement about soccer.
Oh, yeah, you can't wait for them to lose so they'll stop talking about it. Yeah.
I want them to lose so bad just so they stop fucking talking about, like, they've cared about soccer for literally how many weeks now?
Mm-hmm.
How long's the World Cup been going for? A week and a half?
I did see a great article earlier from the National Review, which is kind of like a conservative libertarian magazine in the States. And it was basically arguing, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was more or less along these lines, that we have a patriotic duty to pretend to care about soccer during the World Cup. And I was like, fucking nice, Gary. They're admitting it,
No one will give 2 fucks. As soon as the US will eliminate, I'm counting down the minutes. Yeah. They're suddenly like,
soccer's a girls' game. That's what them faggots play in Europe. It'll become that. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, Australia's got a little bit of it, but we've got such a massive, like, migrant population that there's a genuine love for the round ball game that there's probably, like, with any sport, really, with any kind of success story, you've got tag-alongs, if you will. Like, there's going to be bandwagon fans, no matter what, Like, I didn't even realize that we won the other day, and I'm like, we made the 16. Okay, I guess that's good. Like,
And Greeno and myself aren't denying that there's a shit ton of football fans in the USA. We're not saying that's not the case. What we're saying is your media portrays it as though that did not exist. The media is like, no, we like American football and baseball and basketball. Maybe not basketball. It's too many. Maybe not basketball because there's too many black people doing it. But baseball and football. Yes, definitely. They're like considered, the good old American games, aren't they? So, yeah, no, they don't get into football much.
Until World Cup and then all over time. Yeah. Fat kid on a cupcake.
Did you see that idiotic question that came from the Iranian journalist to the captain of the USA football team, Greeno?
No, because I moved to the World Cup last week.
Oh, that's right. You missed out. So basically, an Iranian journalist said, "Why is your government?" It's like, stop bringing your political shit into fucking sports. We're all fucking sick of it. So this Iranian journalist says to the American football team captain, basically along the lines of, "Oh, look, America has been involved in atrocities. Why does your government comment about what's happening in Iran? Black Lives Matter, blah blah blah. All that kind of stuff." The American player did a fantastic job of kind of batting it back and made the journalist look like a fucking idiot. But to me, it just proved a very valuable point, and that was, regardless of where journalists come from, they're all scum. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're coming from, San Francisco or New York or Sydney or Melbourne or Queensland or Perth or London or fucking Riyadh or Iran or Iraq or fucking, it doesn't matter where they're coming from. The fact that they're a journalist makes them a shitty person, and they can't help themselves. So there you go.
Sad.
Yeah.
We're talking about shitty journalists, talking about bandwagons.
Yep.
I saw this today. The fucking buzzard popped up out of nowhere.
Phil Rothfield's back in football form.
In football form, he's like going, wow, I'm like, I got to jump on this bad boy.
Yeah.
Because I've been out of the spectrum for a little bit because it's been no funny.
You know why? Because Australia got out of the group, Greeno, for the for the first time since 2010, and now
what was the first year we made? It wasn't 06?
Yeah, 06. Yeah, you're probably right. 06. So yeah, it's been a while, and Australia got out of the group stage. They're now in the round of 16. So now all of the journalists of other sports who have been panning the World Cup and panning the Socceroos for the last few months.
Haven't written an article during the group stages yet.
That's right. In disgust, because they're like, this is pathetic fucking soccer bullshit, They now all of a sudden they turn around and they become super fans, and they're like, oh no, we've got to get in on this copy fucking we've got to get in on this copy gold rush that's happening out here. People want to read about the World Cup. I'm getting in on that action, Greeno.
Yeah, need the clicks, Damo. Got to get the clicks.
That's right. So Phil Rothfield is a rugby league reporter.
Terrible one at that.
Most of the time. Isn't he the editor at large as well or something?
Yeah,
or did he
something like that. Who knows? But yeah, he's been shit for fucking 25 years.
Yep. He writes this: if the $58 million Socceroos squad can beat the $1.14 billion Argentinian side, they join the likes of Donald Bradman, Ian Thorpe, and Kathy Freeman in Australian sporting history. But Greeno, I would put it to you and Phil Rothfield that yes, but the difference is that Don Bradman, Ian Thorpe, and Kathy Freeman all won.
Nice,
You have to win the tournament. You have to win the game. You have to win the gold medal. You know what I mean?
Not just that, though. Don Bradman was Argentina.
Yeah.
Ian Thorpe was Argentina. Kathy Freeman was Argentina.
They were all the best.
First.
Yeah.
Like, this is an underdog story.
That's right.
Don Bradman is the greatest Test batsman in, like, not by a little bit.
He's been the greatest for nearly 100 years. They can't get close to his records.
They can't get within 40% of him.
Yeah.
Ian Thorpe is arguably the greatest swimmer of all time.
No, he's definitely arguably the greatest Australian
swimmer of all time. Correct.
Yeah.
And Kathy Freeman was an absolute dominant superstar.
Sydney Olympics.
Was the short-term the short price favourite to win the Sydney Olympics 400.
Yeah.
So
especially once her French main competitor dropped out mysteriously just before the race, Greeno.
It was before the Olympics, not before the race.
Before the Olympics. What was her name? Perez, was it?
Yeah, it might have been
Marie
a little bit
Perez
of
something or other.
Yeah, it might have been a little bit of a drug issue there, perhaps.
Just put it there. Who knows?
So yeah, this article in itself, just from the headline, it's all bullshit and really has no sense to begin with, and that's why it's written by the Buzzard.
It's nice, Gary. There you go.
Nice, Gary.
Fair off, Phil. All right.
What have we got here? No brains. Well, let's not fucking forget about the excitement.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
People are pumped, mate. Everyone's jumping on this bandwagon, right? Fucking all over it. People have gone all over it. They've kind of lost their minds because apparently it's a no-brainer.
Yep.
That our Prime Minister
before you get to this, Greeno, we do have to provide. Yeah, we need to provide people with a little bit of backstory and a little bit of context to why this is a very particular Australian thing. Whenever an Australian international team or something does well at some tournament or wins something, then every single time all the calls come up to the Prime Minister should make it a public holiday the next day. And the reason they do that is because when Bob Hawke was Prime Minister, that's right, pardon me, an Australian team won the America's Cup, Greeno. And Bob Hawke went on television. He was celebrating, obviously, Australia winning the America's Cup, and said something to the effect of any boss that sacks an employee for not showing up tomorrow is a bastard or something like that.
Yeah.
What was it?
Any
is a
boss
bum. Is a bum.
is a bum. Yeah.
And so basically that now became a tradition. So whenever an Australian wins something, everyone's like, oh, we're getting a day off tomorrow. So, Yeah. And so, of course, the Australian Socceroos are being asked, Greeno, if you beat Denmark, which they did. Was it to beat Denmark or will it be to beat Argentina?
They're saying basically everyone should get a public holiday this week so they can watch.
Oh, so we can watch. So we don't even have to win to get the day off.
No, we didn't need to win. Because we've already won, we've made the round of 16, we're playing Argentina. They want to declare a public holiday so we can watch them play Argentina. Now, no one bothered to look at the calendar because fucking it's Sunday.
Nice,
so should we get a day off to watch the Socceroos? Well, it's already a Sunday.
It already is a Sunday, dickhead. Someone look at the fucking calendar. Once again, people trying to create outrage. People go, they got to do it. Fucking elbow.
Well, how about this then? What if we get Monday off, Greeno? If for watching.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
So, I'm fine.
Because we're not going to win. We're not going to beat Argentina. Let's get that right. So if we can get a day off for watching.
Yeah. Declare the public holiday on the Sunday, but allow it to carry over for full
Monday. Yeah.
Everyone gets Monday off.
That's right.
Everyone's a winner. Then I'm down for it.
Okay. Perfect. We've just fixed something else. There you go. I know nothing about economics. You know nothing about public holidays. Together we fixed it.
Yes, we fixed it.
Yep.
Damo, let's quickly hot stove this bad boy. Now, this week, I was concerned with the stove. Now, the heat, it just wasn't there, man.
The heat is on.
No, that's the problem. I thought, look, we're a week before the winter meetings here. Like this is exciting times. We should fucking be having deals left, right, and centre. Should be signings. We're not far from Christmas. Christmas is just around the corner.
Crazy Uncle Jerry hasn't done anything for a couple of weeks. He's due, isn't he?
Oh, mate, he must be frothing right now. Just
his balls are the size of medicine balls and blue as fuck. Greeno.
Exactly.
Ready to pop.
He's ready to transact, as he
ready to transact.
As he put it last year. So I checked the stove, whacked the thermometer in, and I was a little bit concerned because I'm like, this temperature is not quite right. Then I looked to my left, realized I had the fucking window open, and there was a bit of a gust that had passed on through.
I see.
Through out the pilot light of the hot stove.
Yes.
And what ended up happening this week is we just had this little pot of like gently simmering, but slowly reduced bubbling because then we had the gas ambience out in there, gave me a little bit of a buzz. That's a different thing. But you'll be pleased to know quickly.
Pleased to know that this story's wrapping up.
Exactly. Good to know. Quickly whacked it back on, got the fucking lighter back in, bang, whacked it back on. But unfortunately, it hasn't gone up to the ball yet.
Missed your eyebrows.
Still reheating. So, because this week, Carlos Santana agreed to a $6.725 million deal with the Pirates for 2023.
Well done,
Mike Clevenger got a 1 year, $8 million with the White Sox. And you had Jose Abreu sign a 3 year, $60 million deal with the Houston Astros. That was it.
Dynamite. Well done.
Yeah.
Nice, Gary.
Fantastic.
That's the show.
That's it.
Reasonably tight. It felt tight, but then I realised that's an hour and a half.
Yeah, it doesn't feel tight at the end, does it?
No,
when
it
you
doesn't.
Look at the clock.
It didn't feel tight when I was sending. I had to listen back to last week's episode and send through the link to the boys into sporting discussion to go, hey boys, here's the little segment we did for you, assuming it was 3-4 minutes. feel free to use it in your show. And I listened back, and it went for 20 minutes. So I'm like, look, here's the timestamp.
It's actually our ploy. It's our wily scheme to just take over your show through Inception. It's like, oh, look, here's something that the Starting Block boys recorded for us. And 15 minutes in, they'll be looking at each other going, is this nearly wrapped up? Or what the fuck?
This is talking. Like, what the fuck is this?
We plan to become the host just by supplanting you, by sending in a segment. Oh, well, it's just one segment, just one comment.
After the show.
Yeah, after the show. Gone.
But yeah, I felt a little bit embarrassed to literally go, here's the timestamp. It was fucking 20 minutes. Yeah. And that was me cutting out our preamble that led into the segment about why we were doing the segment and the Dutch rudder shit. Free. I cut that out.
Which is vital to understand.
It was vital to the story, but I'm like, we can probably pick it up here. I guarantee it was never played. So that's that. You're on a show Sunday, I believe.
I think I am, yeah. I think I will. So see you Saturday night USA time, Sunday morning Australian time. Got plenty of shit to catch up on, Greeno. Just been pooling some stuff together for the last few weeks, and it's time to let her out. So.
I like it. Good times.
Good times.
We'll tune in to Boogie Bumper on Sunday, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
We'll always be bosom buddies, friends, sisters, and pals. We'll always be bosom buddies. If life should reject you, there's me to protect you.
If I say that your tongue is vicious,
if I call you uncouth,
it's simply that.
Who else but a bosom buddy will sit down and tell you the truth?